In this video, I'm going to show you how to clean a gas grill. Find out how coming up next. What's going on, folks? Kendall here with Renos for Pros and Joes, helping you simplify the renovation and remodeling process. On this channel, we do hands-on product tool and gear reviews, as well as renovation tip and strategy videos. So if you're interested in renovation, remodeling, repair, home maintenance, or real estate, then subscribe because this channel and this content is for you. So in today's video, we're going to do something a little bit different. I am long overdue for cleaning out my gas grill, and I figured I'd go ahead and take you all through the process that I'm going to go through to get this thing cleaned up to be able to put it back online. So as a quick disclaimer, I grill year round, and typically it is not for get-togethers. It's specifically how I cook the majority of my meat. And so I run a lot of meat through this grill. So it's not a once or twice or 3 or 4 times a year use. It's a constant cycle. Typically, if I'm doing what I'm supposed to do with regards to eating properly, I'm going to use the grill probably at least 2 times a week, cooking anywhere from 5 to 10 pounds of meat at a time. So that's just to give you a general idea of what I use the grill for and how I use it, as well as just giving you a quick disclaimer before I open up the lid on this thing so that you can see what it looks like inside. I promise it has not been an extremely long period of time since it was last cleaned, but as you just continue to use it and continue to allow the grease and oil and everything from the meat to build up, it becomes increasingly harder to get a consistent cook, because frequently once you've got the temperature where you want it to be, you put your meat on there and you walk away, you end up having flare-ups when you have the oil drip down into the pan and it gets all over the place inside on the flavor bars and everything else like that, and it ends up, flaming up. And I've got to come in and try to rush in and save the day and put the flames out and try to get the cook back online. And so after having to do that a couple of times, I've decided that enough is enough and it's time to go ahead and clean this thing out. So let's go ahead and let me show you what it looks like inside. All right, so here we have it. You can see all this pollen here that's on top of this thing. We're actually supposed to be getting some rain here tomorrow. This is another reason why it's time for me to go ahead and get this thing knocked out. And so here we go. I've got it opened up on the inside, and you can see here I've got my little wood chips and everything right here. And if you look down below here, you can see some of the grossness in here. So we've got a lot of stuff built up on these grates. It's pretty gross, I will admit it. So if we look down in there close up, you can see there's lots of stuff in there. Let me just pan out really quickly. I'm going to pull one of these grates to the side so that you can kind of see what's even down in the bottom here. Slide everything over. And so if you look down in there, you can see that it looks really bad. So these are the plates in the bottom that need to be cleaned out. And I believe there's 1, 2, I believe there's 3 of them in there. And then we've also got 5 of these. I believe these are flavor bars here. We're going to get all these out and clean these up too. I know a lot of people don't necessarily like to clean them up, but as much as I use the grill, I want to just go ahead and start fresh and make sure that we've got exactly what we need before we start back grilling again, because who knows how long it's going to be before I clean this thing out again. If I look down below, I don't think it's really that bad on the inside. Can't really see that much in there. I will swap out my pan here, right here, from my oil if I need to. But other than that, the grill is okay down below. So the main thing is going to be to try to deal with what's on the inside. I've got some tools and everything to use to try to get it done. Let me show you some of the equipment that I'm going to be using today to get this thing cleaned up. All right, so one of the main liquids that we're going to be using today to clean is going to be cleaning vinegar. So this is my first time using this. I just read about it online and saw other folks using it, and it seems to work pretty well. So I'm going to use this to soak my grates in. Now, as an FYI, the grates on this grill are not cast iron. They are stainless steel. And so once we get them completely clean, you'll be able to see, because they will completely come back to life and be very, very shiny if we do this the right way. I've also got some citrus cleaner here on hand, just in case the opportunity arises where I need to be able to use something a little bit stronger or different than the vinegar. I've got this. This is one of my tried and true cleaning solutions, and so I always keep some of this close at hand. Let me show you some of my other tools. Because it's going to get pretty greasy and nasty in here, I do have my PVC coated gloves. So you can already see, just in touching that grill, I've already got some smudges on my hands just from the char and everything that's on those grates. So these are gonna come in handy, and I'm gonna try to keep these on. I've also got a plastic scraping tool or putty knife, as well as a metal one for some of the more difficult and stubborn areas. Finally, I've got my big heavy duty scrubbing brush. Don't know if we're gonna use this that much, but I do have it on hand. So the first thing I'm gonna do is get a container ready and add my cleaning vinegar. Then I'm gonna take all of the hardwood from the grill and then submerge everything in the cleaning vinegar and allow the solution to work. And while that's going on, I'm gonna jump on the inside of this thing and do my best to get it cleaned up really good. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, so this is the container I'm gonna be using today to put my cleaning vinegar in. I know this kind of looks like overkill, and it is, but the issue that I had is trying to find a container that was long enough to allow these grates to sit completely flat on the bottom so that I could easily submerge it using the least amount of the cleaning vinegar. Unfortunately, I had to go up to a size that is quite a bit bigger than I hoped I would have to use. And as a result, I had to temporarily displace some Christmas decoration. We won't talk about that. So I've got this ready to go. Let's go ahead and start adding our vinegar. Almost forgot to tell you that I've also got on duck boots today because things could get a little bit messy, so I'm prepared. So far we've added just one container of cleaning vinegar. We're gonna start adding in the grates and see how well this goes, and then we're just going to continue to add the additional elements out of the grill box until there's too many in there and we have to add more vinegar, or we just have a nice stopping point where we just need to allow the vinegar to work. As I said, this is my first time working with cleaning vinegar, so it's going to be a learning experience for me. I think if I'm doing this right, it should immediately start to bubble up profusely as soon as we start to drop these cleaning elements into the solution, so stay tuned. I don't know what looks worse, with the top on or with the top off, but if we look like this, you can see that it's good and gross. So let's go ahead and pull the first grate off and drop it in the solution here. 3, 2, 1. Not sure that's actually gonna be enough. I can hear it making noise, but I think it's actually gonna take 2 of these to raise up the chemical to a height that we need it to be at. I'll go ahead and drop the other grate in there, and then we'll add some more vinegar in. All right, so here we go with grate number 2. Now let's go ahead on got 2 of these bad boys going. What's not bubbling up like I saw it do in other folks' videos, but it does appear to be working because I see some areas where it looks like some of the stainless is already beginning to show through. So we'll go ahead and let this soak here for a second and see how well that works. I'm gonna go ahead and pull everything else out just to have it prepared, and then we'll go ahead and start working on the inside. As I said, I'm not gonna use the cleaning vinegar for everything because I've got a limited amount of it, but I can go ahead and pull off my flavor bars here. I think what I may do is try to just go ahead and scrape these in place first before I take them off, just to help clean up the process a little bit easier. So I'm gonna use this tool. I know it looks kind of rough, right? But set that off to the side for right now. We'll just go ahead and do the same process. Now this one is a lot worse. Look at that. Just all grease buildup. One thing about these flavorizer bars is that eventually they will give up the ghost and you will have to replace them. And so I have to also be mindful of that as I'm scraping them. Forgot to scrape the underside on this one, but this one doesn't look nearly as bad. Okay. That's 2. Now working on number 3 here. This is the center one. So if you look there closely, three down, 2 to go. Now this is number 4. Number 4 looks like it may be the worst one. If you notice here, I'm trying to keep my scraping activities over the inside of the grill because I have a trough inside. It makes it pretty easy to clean all of this debris out. Additionally, everything has a certain level of oil and grease on it. So I just want to make sure that keep that contained as well as I can. So that is 4. On to the last one. We've got to check the underside of this one. This one's needs a little attention as well. So 4. And then here's number 5. All right. So that's all 4 of those. As you can see, for some reason, I've chosen not to put my gloves on. And I'm pretty deep into this thing now, so I guess we'll just keep going. All right, so now we're moving forward here. We've got our flavorizer bars off. And now we've got to remove these components here. These are so nasty, you can't even tell what they are. And so I'm going to go ahead and dump that right there. And let's see if we can just go ahead and scrape that in place as well. Turn it that way so you guys can see. See that buildup? So if you can see on the underside, you can see where it's starting to rust some. But this is the color that it is normally, or when it was new. Everything else is buildup. So I don't know how much of this we're going to be able to remove. This is maybe, just judging from the way that this looks, this may be the last time this gets cleaned before it has to be replaced. So let's just see how this goes. Gonna set that off to the side now. And then let's get this one out of here. See all this nastiness in here. I'll scrape it all off there. There's some more if you want to see that. Okay. All right, so the grates are doing okay. I want to go ahead and kind of try to speed up the process if I can at all. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce my scrub brush into the mix and just try to go over these things just a little bit to see if I can't speed the process up just a wee bit. I think normally you're supposed to let these things soak for hours and hours, and I really don't want to wait that long to do this. So I wanted to see if I could potentially get a quick reaction. Doesn't look like that's what's going on, unfortunately. So this would be a situation where I would normally add my citrus cleaner just to go ahead and speed the process up. It's probably what I'm gonna do. Can't say this is not working, it's working. So let's see if we can kick things up a notch. I've also got some degreaser here, but first let's just add that citrus in here. See what we can get going. And now that I've got them at least part of the way going, I think I can also switch over now and use one of my scrubber tools that I typically use to clean the grill grates. I'm gonna switch over and start using that now as well. So I've got this tool here. Got that going. At the top. Got that going. If you can see there, it's cleaning up some. Get that underside. Hit this a little bit longer, and then it's going to be time to jump back over to that grill box. Let this stuff just kind of soak a little bit. And I'm going to add a little bit of a secret weapon here and see if that's going to help some. Now you can see how gross this is on the inside. I'm just going to try to knock everything off and knock it on down into the base. So believe it or not, that's actually cleaned this thing up pretty good on the inside. I am going to go ahead and grab my brush that I was using over here and just kind of knock off any of the little small stuff I couldn't get with the scraper. Now let's go ahead and pull this tray out of here and see how gross this is. To go down underneath here to be able to get in there to do this part. Before I do that, I gotta find a trash bag or something to dump this in. All right. As you can see, we've got light and I've got a trash bag here. So this is gonna help us get this tray out of here. I'm gonna try to do my best so you can see how nasty this thing is on the inside now that we've scraped most of that stuff down. So you can see it looks much better than it did before. Most of the trash is actually down there in the bottom. As you can see, I've got most of it knocked down off of all the sides and everything else like that. But most of the flare-ups actually happen right in here with all the components that we've taken out, as well as flare-ups down here in the pan. So hopefully what we're doing right now is going to address all of that. So now, so this is what I was talking about before. You can see all that filth that's in here. I'm gonna try to dump as much of this in here without scraping it first, and then we'll go back and get any leftover. So now you can see that the bottom of that pan looks like.
I'm gonna go over this with the plastic scraper because it looks like the finish on this isn't as in poor of a shape as the inside of the grill is, and this is kind of a smoother material as well. So let me try to do that. So we've got our scraper tool here, just kind of just going over. Loosen up some of this stuff off the sides. Let's go ahead and dump that too. Making some headway. I'm gonna sit that right there just for a second. I'm gonna show you how much stuff we've got in here. You can see that bag. That bag has got weight to it there. That's all ash from the inside of the grill. See if I can show it to you without spilling it all over the doggone place. Let's see. Can you see that? There's a bunch of it in there. It's just hard to show it to you without dumping the thing out. So there we go. So now with this piece right here, I think the best thing to do with this is just going to be able to just spray some little cleanup stuff on there, not submerge it, but just kind of wet it down and then just wipe it out. So I think the majority of this is going to come out pretty easily. All right, so we're back. And you know what? I think before, now that I've got it completely wet on the inside, I'm going to scrub it around a little bit with my brush here to try to loosen it up. Get the most bang for my buck here out of my chemicals. Tight areas here in this corner that are hard to get. So got that. I'm just dumping it into my vinegar solution over here for right or for wrong. I'm gonna spray it some more. This is actually coming pretty clean. Pretty good. Just gonna rinse it out one more time. I'm on the exit stage left over here and hose this thing out real quick, and then I'm gonna bring it back. All right, we're making some headway here. So there's that tray again. You can see there are some little rust spots and everything in there, but all in all, the inside of came out really nice. Let me kind of pan out here so you can see a little bit better. So yeah, overall, it came out very nice. So we can just slide this back in there when we're ready to do that. But before we do that, let's go ahead and pull out this other grease trap tray here so you can see what was in there as well. And so this is a trap as well. This piece is not disposable on this grill. It actually is designed to put a liner in there, and I just didn't have one in there for whatever reason, but I've got some replacements now, so I'm gonna deal with that as well. I'm gonna wash this out quickly. There, I just dumped that out. I use my plastic scraper there as well. Get around in those corners and edges there. Knock this out. That's nice and clean. I'm going to go ahead and hose this out too. So now we've got this cleaned out pretty good. So it's got a few little residual spots and everything on there. I can go over it one more time with this, but I mean, overall, this is going to be good enough. None of the surfaces that we're cleaning so far are actually going to come in contact with any food, just those grill grates. And so we're still soaking those and letting those work. We're just kind of getting everything else cleaned up so you don't have to worry about those flare-ups. So we've got that pretty much ready to go. This is the replacement that I was talking about. So this just fits in here. That's how it should have been before, so that when you get this thing real nasty, filled up with grease and everything else like that, you just pull it out from the bottom and discard it and put your new one in there. So now I'm doing that the right way. You can go ahead and slide that back in there or drop it back in there. You can see what that looks like. So it sits right down in there. And then go ahead and slide this tray back in there as well. So I think what I'm going to do is dry this out a little bit. I'm on the fence about whether or not I want to actually try to rinse out the inside of the grill. Don't really feel that excited about doing that. All right, so I've got that cleaned up real good. Now I'm just going to take my tray here and slide this back down underneath. Got that back in there. So now you can see what that looks like. So if you look very closely, you can see down through that opening, you can see that little tray that we just set down there in the trough. So we're making great progress here. I guess if I really wanted to, I could vacuum out some of the little dust and things around the perimeter of this thing if I really wanted to. I'm not gonna worry about that. I'll give you guys a little tidbit of information. One of the reasons why I'm trying to work so diligently to get this cleaned up right now is because I actually have meat that's ready to go and get put on this grill, but I promised myself that I was not going to put any more meat on here until I did this process. And so you see that I've waited as long as I possibly could. And so I'm having to clean it right now on the fly so that I can go ahead and get this thing cranked up and cook this meat because the rain is coming tomorrow. Okay, so let's look back over here at these grates again and see how they're coming. They're doing decent. Look at that. You can kind of start to see that it is stainless here. You don't see it completely caked down anymore with grime, at least not on that one. And this one's actually starting to come clean pretty good too. I think it's probably time for me to dump this stuff out and reset with a new batch. So that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to up the ante here, and I'm going to put my citrus cleaner in here to knock this thing out. The vinegar, I can see how that can work if you've got time to wait. But since I want to make this thing as quick as possible so I can get to grilling, I'm going to go ahead on and speed it up. Okay, so they're still working. As I said, I'm going to toss some citrus cleaner in there, as well as some degreaser. And then we're going to get back on it. You know that it's going to get serious because I'm putting on the second glove finally. See if we can scrape some of this stubborn stuff off of here. Okay, so now you can see that these are a lot better than they were. Not perfect, but definitely serviceable. We're also going to let the grill run before we put anything on it, just like we normally would. I'm going to dump this water, and then we're going to go over the same or a similar process with those flavorizer bars. Just really quickly, not going to let them soak too long because they're not in the best of shape. We just want to try to get off any residual oil and grease and then get everything put back together and go ahead and move on to the next phase. All right, so we've got the fresh water again. Put the gloves back on again. Let's go ahead and drop these little grates in here. Give them a quick bath. Nothing over the top. Just gonna go over like this. All right, that's one down. Look at all that rust. I'm gonna hose all this stuff off here in 1 second. That's really rusty water. I'm gonna change the water again before I do the flavorizer bars. All right, one last dip for everything. All right, let's do the put back. And I've skipped a step. Okay, got that. And we'll drop the rest of the bars in there. In case you're wondering why I didn't pull the top off and clean that one out separately, the pins on the back side are stuck. And I couldn't get them to pull out, so I had to just kind of wipe it down in place. Not really a huge deal. We've cleaned off all of the loose stuff, so we should be good there. All right, I'm back. Let's just knock out this thing real quick. While I'm working, without having to worry about getting pollen and everything all over them. Clean that up a little bit. It's decent, it's not spick and span, but as I promised, I'm gonna go ahead and do the surprise now. All right, we've got one more thing we're gonna add onto this grill. This is the surprise. This is a light. And so I'm gonna go ahead and install this thing, and then we're gonna see how well it works. Nothing like trying to grill at night and not being able to see exactly what you're working on, and having to keep track of flashlights and playing with the lights on the outside and everything else like that. So okay, so we've got it installed now. Let's check it out and see how it works though. Let's see. There we have it. We've got light. And that is grill light by itself. You can see exactly what we've got going on here. We can look straight down in there. The light is performing very well. I believe this light will turn off when we lower it down, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. Pretty cool, guys. Back on. We can see everything we need. Let's crank this thing up. Well, I've got everything crunk up now. I can flip that up. You can see I've got everything going there. You've got my grates and everything on. And this one's a wrap, guys. It got dark on us, but hopefully you found this video informative. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys on the next one. All right, guys, so I'm back as promised, and I've got my cook here. I did not beat the rain, but it's cleared off enough for me to go ahead and put on the first load of meat since doing my cleaning. As you can see here, I've got quite a bit. These two bags combined are about 6.5 pounds, and then this bag right here is 2.5 pounds. So total 9 pounds. We're gonna cook all this. So this is a regular cook, and you know I don't have any guests coming.